So now we're going into Eggmanland Night 3. This is easily my least favorite of them all. There's multiple reasons for that. Obviously this isn't a real 2D perspective because you can move on the Z-axis. So it doesn't really improve the werehog at all. You can still go into the wrong areas and fall to your death. Lots of bottomless pits here. Lots of instances where you can die. I die a lot here. Obviously, if you stand where the blocks are going to come out, then it'll push you into the foreground and push you into the bottomless pit. I actually killed the bees with the mid-air special attack in this level. And I never thought I could do that. I thought I would just miss. This is a pretty inventive puzzle for getting the item. You have to make it so that you're able to jump high enough to land on that block and then get up there. So you're taking advantage of the environment around you, which is something that I like with werehog. Like, if it weren't for the combat being clunky and the slippery controls and the combat being clunky, I would say this is a lot better than Amy's levels when it comes to the puzzles. Aside from the puzzles that are just there to be slow and pad out the level, like, let's carry something around. Oh boy. Yeah, you can't swing upwards from here because there's the spikes there. So what you gotta do is you gotta double jump off of the swinger thing. I took way too long to figure this out. You can't swing at all. You can't even swing to the left, because doing so will bring you upwards. So what you gotta do is you gotta double jump off the swinger thing and land on the protruding blocks. This is something that you wouldn't be able to do if you were in a true 2D perspective, because there wouldn't be a Z-axis, so you wouldn't be able to land on top of the blocks to begin with. This is a pretty inventive puzzle. Like, I'll compliment it. I haven't talked much about the HD version of Eggmanland yet, other than the fact that it's an 89-minute long slogfest. And part of the reason for that is because they combine Eggmanland Day and Night into one level. And the reason they do that is, well, the reason they do that is to pad out the level. But the way they do that is they have these hourglasses that you use to turn into the werehog. And one nice tip for making Eggmanland a lot faster is skip all of the enemies. Because in HD Unleashed, you can just skip most of the enemies in Eggmanland and not have to waste time fighting them. But the problem is that by that point in the game, you've already developed an instinct in you to defeat all the enemies. Because you want experience, and you've been forced to fight them all game. So it's not easy to get the idea that you can just skip most of the enemies. Like, for all you know, you might run into a purple wall really far away and have to backtrack. That previous section, the red orb, which is what the unleashed items are called, it kind of killed me because I went down to grab it and then I grabbed the pull to get back up at the wrong time. And this is another pretty inventive puzzle. I'm not really sure what the red orbs are supposed to do. Do they give you more experience points? Because I just got them and they didn't fill up my leash meter at all. But yeah, this is a pretty inventive puzzle. You gotta make sure you're jumping off the right side of the poles. And you can't jump too close to the spikes above you, or you'll just jump into the spikes and die. Well, you might die. And this obviously isn't a real 2D section because it takes advantage of the Z-axis. And there, now you can get yourself another red orb that, again, I wish a message showed up, at very least the first time, telling you what the red orb did. And I wasn't really sure how to get back from there, so I killed myself intentionally because I wasn't sure if I could jump far enough to reach it. I don't think this pull here stood out to me enough that I could that could get at it. But yeah, you swing across here, and then you have some more blocks to deal with, but they're in mostly 3D this time around. I think the biggest problem I have with Eggmanland Night Act 3 is the camera. A common problem with the swinger things, sometimes you'll try to launch yourself upwards with them to progress and land on platforms. Oh, I didn't even notice that I could keep going forwards into this area because the floor is covered in shadows, so I couldn't really tell that it was a floor you could stand on. But anyways, the camera is not very good in this level. And the swinger thing, sometimes you could swear that you were holding up the whole time, but you still won't go forwards enough after being launched by them, so you won't land on the platform. And if you don't press X to grab onto them again in time, you'll fall to your death. And that kills me a lot in the next level. But yeah, another thing that HD Eggmanland has, which is actually good, is there's no battle music at all. For serious. They just keep playing the regular music. I assume to create the atmosphere of the final level properly. But you know, it would have been better if they didn't have any battle music at all for the whole game. Like, a lot of people say that what they should have done was had different variations or obvious remixes of the battle theme for every level in the game, or had different battle music entirely, which would have taken a lot more time to make, but whatever. But the thing is, I think it would have been a lot better to just not have battle music at all. Something I discovered recently was that if you know how you have to watch the tornado fly over to the Gaia Gate on the world map when you click the Gaia Gate? Well, you can actually hold down the A button to make the plane go faster. Well, that's convenient. I wish I had been told that a lot earlier. I never knew that. And here we have a potential Castlevania segment, because if the spike balls hit you while they're falling down, you'll get knocked into the pit. Although it's not really Castlevania because they're not enemies, they're just hazards. So they don't really count anyways. But yeah, I guess it's a good puzzle. It rewards dash jumping at the right times. Like, the only really frustrating thing about the Werehog is that the combat sucks because you're always using the wrong attacks by accident. And you're constantly swarmed by enemies that can attack in your attack animations, which is way too overwhelming to deal with. And two, you have the bottomless pits that make things really tense. Because you have slippery control, so you don't trust the game not to screw you over. Through no fault of your own. Like, the bottomless pits would make the platform more satisfying if you feel like you had complete control of your character. So, let's see what's in this door. Because I have enough medals at this point to unlock a Gaia Gate. This is the last Gaia Gate you're going to see in the main playthrough of the game. I believe I have an extra part after this. And I'll show off one last Gaia Gate that I unlocked very recently. And this area is pretty creative, pretty inventive. I love how you can get an extra life so easily and so quickly. Because it guarantees that you aren't going to get cheated out of it if you can't complete the platforming section. Instead, they just hand it to you right away. I feel like it takes a little too long to pull the lever and activate it. I feel like it's just padding and it makes you impatient. So now you've got to land accurately on this platform, but you have so much forward momentum whenever you jump. So it's so easy for you to jump too far. In order to make it so that you turn into Sonic and are able to run across the conveyor belt, you're better off landing on the conveyor belt north of the Ray of Light and letting it guide you to it. It's kind of difficult and awkward to to stand on top of the switch as Sonic. Ugh! Don't. That's weird. I felt like I was just about to transform into the werehog. Maybe I did an edit. It was so smooth I didn't notice. Anyways, don't run out of this place just yet, because you still need to do this. I read a guide that told me very recently I revisited this area because the guide told me that I had missed an illustration to the right of where I just was. But there was only a door to the left of me, and it led to an item I'd already gotten. So that was weird. In fact, there are a lot of items that I don't have at this point. Either because they're from special missions that I have no idea how to unlock, aside from maybe grinding for medals, and because the game glitched out on me, and I clearly collected them, but the game just registered that I have them. Here's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stand on top of the crate, and then walk off it. That's what you're supposed to do. And it feels like a really genius, inventive puzzle once you know what you're supposed to do. But it's easy to die to it the first time. I don't know how I screwed that up. Yeah, you have to just stand on top of the crate. And that'll prevent you from getting... Okay, here's another problem. Because of the camera angle being all diagonal, I didn't really get the idea easily that I was supposed to just hold the crate above me, because it looked like I was just being led into the fire anyways. The camera should have been sideways. And more importantly, you have to rewatch this 13-second long establishing cutscene every time you restart from the level. Which means that every time you die to this part, you have to rewatch this cutscene all over again, because they don't put a checkpoint after this section. Who thought that was a good idea? And later I restarted the entire level because I wanted to respawn all my lives. I have like 9 lives by that point anyway, so that turned out to be redundant. But then I had to watch the establishing cutscene again. Who thought that was a good idea? And I'm leaving that in specifically to show you how frustrating that is in the actual game. I wouldn't be showing off the game properly if I didn't show this off. This is how your first experience of the level will be. I mean, for the most part, the level isn't really that bad. But just that beginning. But yeah, there's a lot of items that I missed, that I very recently replayed the level just for the heck of it, just to get them. If you break those black blocks, you'll end up getting an item. I think, no, the ones on the lower left corner. I didn't even realize they were there because the camera didn't show them to me, because the camera hadn't panned out enough. Anyways, in the HD versions of the game, when the player gets an A rank on the day stage or complete a day mission, and in the Wii and PS2 versions, when the player gets an S rank, Sonic's pose accurately references his pose on the title screen and character select screen of Sonic Advance 1. So that's a neat touch. To the left of me here, and above me, where the camera isn't showing me, there's actually a ledge that you can double jump and hang off of, right there. But I was focusing on the werehog at that point, so I didn't even notice it. You can use the metal crate to get up to that ledge, and there's actually an item that I completely miss. And there's also a red orb there, so you might be tricked into thinking that's all there is to get. But yeah, now you have to collect more keys. It's not really as bad as in the first level though, where you can easily miss out on them. I didn't realize that was a moving platform. Why do they have to change the aesthetic of every gimmick so that you have to re-figure out what everything does every time you re-encounter it? So I didn't realize that this platform was going to move, so I just ran to my death. Like, superficially changing the aesthetics of all the gimmicks looks like a good idea, but it doesn't serve any practical purpose. It just slows down your reaction times, because every time you have to re-figure out what they do. And now you gotta quickly jump on here because it'll move away from you otherwise. You can actually dash jump over to the third swinger thing to skip the first two entirely. So that's good. It rewards skill. But it's good to at least try to land on the second swinger thing to get the item. I believe that they turn into red orbs after you've already collected them and you revisited the level. Yeah, here you should probably... I was so surprised I actually managed to land on it that I instinctively, impulsively grabbed onto it again. You should probably just double jump off the swinger thing. It's safer. I believe if you just let go, you'll fall and die. And that pole over there. For the entirety of the game up to this point, you have been taught that it's perfectly safe to just jump past poles or just infinitely slide down them until you reach the bottom. How are you supposed to know that just jumping here will follow you to bottomless pit? How are you supposed to know that when the entire game has trained you that's perfectly fine? That's trial and error. That's bad game design. But yeah, just... yeah, that one was my fault. It's a good thing that that right swinger thing was there, because it taught you that you even should go there in the first place. It makes it harder to miss. But yeah, there is actually another item that I missed here that I had to replay the level for. See this ledge right here? If you grab onto it, you can actually climb towards the background and go into the slit where the Trail of Rings is leading you to. So you can actually get an item there. And I completely missed out on that. Although I guess that's my fault. I was so busy focusing on beating the level that I didn't get the idea that I even could go in there. And you can get caught off guard by the fact you have to grab onto a flying enemy and fall to your death. But yeah, there's the third key. And I believe that there's actually 4 keys in this level. So that's really good design. To the right of here, to the right of this combat section, you can grab onto a flying enemy that leads you over to a swinger thing. And if you hold up on that swinger thing, you'll get sent into a key. So there's actually 4 keys in the level, not 3. That is fantastic design. That's something that every level with keys in it should have had. And that's something I never noticed until I replayed the level and completely skipped and completely missed out on that second key because it was in an unintuitive place. And I was wrong about the previous level having a bottomless pit in the elevator section. At least I think I was. This is where the bottomless pit in the elevator section gets really obnoxious. Because you can easily be knocked into it by all of the different enemies that attack you and swarm you and overwhelm you. It is so cheap that you can be attacked during your attack animations. And plus there's the giants as well. But I've already complained about that a million times. This is actually the only Sonic game where Sonic never loses the Chaos Emerald throughout the game. See? Not that it matters because Sonic never uses the Chaos Emeralds anyway, so it's not like you can go super at any time, and because all the emeralds are drained of their power. It's good that you can still attack him while he's in his intro animation and sending red and black enemies out of him. On the official website for Unleashed, the rating in the trailer shown is E10+, but the audio is the E for everyone rating. Maybe the game was originally going to be rated E for everyone, until the rating boards noticed the werehog transformation scene, and the demonic possession, and the planet being broken apart. You know, all that dark and edgy elements that this story has that it doesn't properly utilize anyways. Twilight Princess is darker than this. In the Wii version and the PS2 version, Sonic will curl up into a ball to either boost at the right time starting a stage, or boost shortly before or after hitting a dash pad. That's not very intuitive to know. Or right before a loop. Again, that's not very intuitive to know. How are you supposed to know that? I never knew that, and like that's really pointless, because curling up to a ball doesn't really have any extra effect in this game. It's just there as fan service.